John Smith, Tacoma 10 here. I commute between Seattle and Tacoma every day, back and forth. Today, Thursday, there was a wreck, so I got an hour and 19 minutes in my car coming up. So says Google Maps. I look at my guys from TBTL from the posting today, 1 hour, 19 minutes of TBTL. Now you guys are part of the solution instead of being part of the problem. Well done.
TBTL.
How's it all going?
You asking me about my podcast?
Yes.
Still trying to figure it out.
I was just trying to find E.T.
Hey, E.T., classic Spielberg.
Oh,
Weaver of dreams.
I love when his finger lights up.
That's how you can tell he's an alien.
And his face.
And his face.
Well, you have found my flabbergast button, and guess what? You've pressed it.
It's not that bad, honestly. It is, but it's not.
When you get there, this is what you will see on the screen. And there's a little arrow over there. You press it, and congratulations, you're listening to a podcast.
Couldn't be easier.
Well, all right. Hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to a Thursday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
This is the beginning of a social engineering attack.
My name is Luke Burbank. I'm your host.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Coming to you today from Seattle, Washington, in the studios of Walsh and Doormat.
Oh, Ma, Pa, it's just beautiful.
I am already having an amazing Thursday morning. I got to play with Bingo the Cat ever so briefly. I got a free handmade bespoke shirt that Genevieve made. I cannot believe how nice this shirt is that Andrew passed on, and now here I am wearing it for the show. So, man, a hot start. Let's hope things stay hot with episode 4492 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
I was interviewing William Shatner and Neal DeGrasse Tyson yesterday.
From my point of view, it's a beautiful story. I love your story.
It was one of those things that could have gone either way, and I'll tell you the way that it went. Then this morning, I was at a Starbucks.
This song goes out to all the coffee lovers of the world.
Over by Green Lake, and something there could have gone either way, and I'll tell you the way in which that went as well. There's only one way that the Blur's Day messages go, and that is
It's my birthday today.
Swimmingly. So we'll do that on this Thursday, and we are going to talk to this guy, longest-running Cobra of the show, maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ships.
He is hysterical out there. They're loving you, my man.
He's Andrew Walsh. He's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Luke. Welcome to North Seattle.
I love
Welcome
it.
to the North Aurora neighborhood.
You mean the Nora?
We don't say Nora here. That's been claimed by another group of North Aurora advocates that I don't align myself with. It's a real power move wearing that shirt in front of me. That was supposed to be my shirt.
It is complicated because...
It is complicated.
I was late getting downstairs here to join you for TBTL because, well, I was running a little late as it was, so that's on me. But then, as I was passing through your kitchen, Vive said, I have two questions for you. She goes, how do you feel about farm fresh eggs?
Oh, yeah. Did you take the eggs?
I'm also going to take the eggs.
Nice. This is really a profitable day for you.
Honestly.
Why don't you do the show here more
often?
$100
a day, $800 a week.
Genevieve's looking after some chickens that our neighbors have a few doors down, and so she gets to keep the eggs. But we happen to be really flush with store-bought eggs right now because I didn't know about this arrangement. So now you're getting the farm fresh eggs or the neighborhood fresh eggs.
I'm getting the neighborhood eggs, and then she goes, oh, and one other thing. And I see this very nice gingham patterned shirt that's folded nicely sitting there on your kitchen table. And Vive says, I made this shirt, and it just Andrew's not really into this.
Wait, is that what she said? I'm not into it?
I forget. Well, why
I love the shirt. It doesn't fit me.
Really? Okay.
It doesn't fit my arms. Like, it fits around my... She measured me, but then followed a pattern.
I see.
And I got a weird body, so it mostly fits me, except the arms are really tight and a little bit short because I have kind of strange long arms. So it's a real
strangely buff arms.
They're not even. They're not buff, man. Look at this.
Actually, they are, dude.
Look at this.
No. As I've said many times on the show, you're a man of peace, but one day you will punch someone with those big old strong hands of yours and those those arms that defy even the most advanced pattern makers of shirts, and that person's going to fly into outer space.
It's going to somehow make a slide whistle sound when the guy goes flying.
But I put this
so
shirt
it didn't
on.
fit. So it feels. I feel bad because it's a very beautiful shirt. Like the material is very nice, and Genevieve did a hell of it. It's a professionally made shirt.
I mean, I really can't get over how well done it is. And now, for people that have been, I guess, listening to the show for many years, and also maybe more importantly, observing photographs of me from the website of the show back in the early days, when I moved back home to Seattle from, I guess, New York, and started doing TBTL, there was basically one shirt that I liked in the world, and it was a red. Now the pattern was much smaller. It almost looked pink. Mm-hmm. It was the shirt that I threw out the first pitch at the Mariners game.
And there's a photo of you. I was trying to remember it. I did not remember this until you mentioned, oh yeah, this is like that shirt I used to wear all the time. There's an early TBTL promotional photo where I believe you're holding a microphone up to your little statuette of a pig. Maybe it's a piggy bank.
Yes,
maybe.
yes.
And I think you're wearing that shirt in that.
Yes, good memory. Wow, you're exactly right. And so I loved that shirt so much that I wore it till it actually was falling apart. And there was, I forget what the event was. There was something, I want to say it was TBTL related, but it might have been something else in our friend group. There was a thing where somebody was doing an impression of me. Like it was like at a party or a get-together or something, and the joke was, I'm being Luke.
Uh-huh.
And they had gone to like just I think probably a kind of a cheapo clothing store somewhere and just grabbed a shirt that also had a gingham print on it, which is, if you don't know, that's like kind of red and white kind of checker pattern. And it was like different than the shirt that I wore, but it was clear like what they were going for. And they wore that shirt to do the little, whatever it was, skit or something. And then they gave me the shirt, and then I proceeded to wear that shirt for like 2 or 3 more years. It just, even though it couldn't have cost more than $10 because it almost immediately started decaying on my body. This joke shirt. And so then eventually the joke shirt fell apart, and then I just haven't really gone back to that world since then until today. And like I'm and maybe we can get I don't want to force this upon the listeners, but Genevieve did take a photo of me in the shirt.
I thought you were going to make me take a photo of you in my shirt.
Which that would be, even for you, a bridge too far.
By the way, I think, and I'm looking this up on the fly, but I'm pretty sure that gingham is the material, not the pattern.
Really?
Yeah, so
I've always wondered about that.
Well, I'm trying to figure that out.
I don't know if this is gingham then.
I think it is actual gingham, which is why it's that really soft feel. Like it's a very nice.
Is it often associated with the checks?
Yeah, let me read to you because I may be getting this wrong as well, but it was my understanding from recent conversations with Genevieve that it's a material. So here's what Wikipedia says. Gingham, also called Vichy check.
Whoa.
Like, is that like Vichy, like
the French?
Yeah,
like where
exactly.
they where they signed the surrender?
Let's assume not. Gingham, also called Vichy check, is a medium weight, balanced, plain woven fabric.
Okay.
Typically with tartan/plaid striped or checked.
So this is really like a tartan pattern on a gingham shirt.
A tartan pattern. That's what I always say. Isn't that a song you wrote with Willie Nelson? A tartan pattern on a gingham shirt.
It is. It is.
So anyway, I just wanted to clean that up a little bit because I'm pretty sure that it refers to the material itself. But anyway, beautiful shirt.
I'm genuinely so psyched about it, and the fact that this was actually handmade by somebody that I know.
I know.
I'm sorry. I hope I'm not making this worse, Andrew.
No, I do. I mean, Vives and I had been. I had been joking about this for a while because when it didn't fit, like she was measuring me and everything, but you still follow a pattern. And I was kind of like, well, my arms are kind of goofy, so definitely
not
lean
goofy.
On the
ripped,
but also long. Sort of. I have like a weirdly long wingspan, and so I was trying it on throughout, but it did seem like everything was going to fit, but maybe not the arms. When I put it on, I wanted to kind of make it work.
That is my upper torso.
Isn't there also a drop about like people talking? Oh, it's a beautiful shirt. It's a What was that old drop from the radio days about a beautiful, beautiful shirt?
You
right?
know, yes,
or maybe
I
it was the early podcast days.
Maybe I don't think I have it anymore. I have some songs by Earl Sweatshirt that we better not play. That we 100% better not play
absolutely.
when I put shirt into it, but
let me see if I can find
no, you know what it was?
It was
a
very
dad.
earnest thing.
No, he wasn't earnest. He was furious.
He put a shirt in the microwave.
It was Glow Stick Dad. I think it was called. Hold on, let me see if that helps.
Yes,
what you do with a beautiful shirt?
Your beautiful shirt.
I got angry Glow Stick Dad.
Here we go.
Okay,
This is great.
okay. This might just be the shortened version. I apologize, but
yeah, no shit. I said don't microwave it. Don't screw around. What you do with a beautiful shirt on and get it in your eyes.
I think the kid had microwaved. He had microwaved a glow stick.
Yes,
and it had exploded or something. But then he also happened to be wearing a nice shirt, so the dad was mad about that too.
I bet you that was like 2012 or something, because I just remember being kind of new to the show when we were playing all the time. Just like this beautiful shirt. He's such angry dad energy there. But no, Vives. I started joking around a couple of weeks ago because Vives was like, "Well, let's see if we're talking about friends who it may or may not fit, and of course they're all men, and I'm kind of like, I don't know if I like this." I don't know if I like this cuck shirt situation where we're like looking for a man to fit Genevieve's shirt. But last night it was actually my idea, I think. I said, you know what? Luke might be the one that would fit in there because he's got these puny little, tiny little
just T-Rex. I mean, honestly, that's an insult to T-Rexes. No, I'm psyched about it. And also, like, it's a little bit, it's just the slightest bit blousey on me, but that's like how I'm wearing things now, because I call it pulling an Andrew, because you famously always go towards a shirt that's a little bit larger than you probably need. I, like so many of my generation, I saw the greatest minds of my generation
hidden under the poofiness of a blouse.
No, hidden under not hidden enough under the tightness of form-fitting things.
I've never
and I went a little. I feel like the style has moved away from that a bit. If you actually look at the prevailing fashion now, it's a little looser. Like even like men's suiting, it's not like the look now. If you're going to wear a suit, is not. For a while, it was that like. Really tight, body tight, hugging, skinny.
You had a bunch of those, right? You had some of those skinny pant ones.
I had skinny pants. I had
with your sneakers,
skinny suits, and tight fitting and everything. And now this is just how fashion is. There's a little more. There's a little more. A little more billowing that is allowed to happen now, and I for one welcome it, and I'm very, very excited about this.
It's funny how like if you go back to the 90s, and of course I was learning how to be a person in the 90s, right? Like whatever was standard in the 90s didn't feel like a fashion trend to me. It just felt like, well, I'm a young person learning how to eventually be an adult in this world, so I just looked at all these people with huge baggy suits. I mean, rivaling David Byrne.
I was going to say, are you sure you weren't just watching?
Right, yeah.
Stop making sense.
And a lot of Steve Harvey videos. I picture both of them as like those really big, like kind of hanging. And so I feel like a lot of my early suits were like
that. An NBA draft, a first round NBA draft recipient would be wearing when they shook David Stearns' hand.
Yeah, very, very big. And then of course, like you said, time goes on. But I remember interviewing for my job in Los Angeles, which is luckily not a place, or the people I was interviewing with don't really care about fashion much or that type of thing. And honestly, nobody said anything about it, but I remember, first of all, it was like blazing hot LA, and I get out of, I think Genevieve dropped me, or maybe I took a Uber or something to the radio station, and I get out of this car wearing something that looks like my dad's suit. It's like dark ass gray in this bright LA sun. I was like, even I, who has a very little instinct for how one should look in any situation, I was like, this is a ridiculous look in Santa Monica, and probably in the middle of the summer.
But you got the job.
I did get the job. They
said, let's not undervalue that. So, and if you overcame that outfit to get the job, that tells you how well you did in the job interview.
And I wore that suit every day to work until they fired me.
It was your good luck suit.
I did not clean it.
You were like Wade Boggs. You had to commit to the ritual of doing the same thing each day before work. I mentioned this on the show a couple months ago, but the Boston Red Sox player Wade Boggs famously ate the same meal before every game his entire career, which was lemon chicken.
Oh, you mentioned that on the show recently? I got an email from somebody who was responding to something we did on the show recently, and I had zero recollection of it. I must just warg out sometimes.
That's happening more and more to me as well. Just as like people mentioning, even like our good friend P. Fletch, who's like a careful listener to the show and will sometimes respond to something, and it'll be like it was a thing we did yesterday, and I have to really, really try to struggle to remember the exact thing that's being referenced sometimes. I'm feeling really excited about this free shirt. I'm sorry, Andrew, I'm not trying to rub it in. I'm also feeling good, or I would say relieved is a better way to put it, that the things did not go as sideways as they might have this morning when I was at the Starbucks there on Green Lake Way, not far from where our friends have the fitness center.
Oh yeah,
the Green Lake Strength and
Conditioning. Conditioning, yeah. No,
I was
Strength and Fitness. I believe.
That's the one. I was right over near there. I was on a little jog around Green Lake. Let me just tell you, a warm, summery morning, Green Lake. You got Chris Hayes in your ears. You're listening to the Why Is This Happening pod. It doesn't get much better than that, or at least that's how things felt for about 3/4 of the jog until I rounded the area where Spud's Fish and Chips is. And I'll never get used to that being in a new location. Like there used to be, I don't know, were you living here long enough ago when Spud's had its own dedicated little tiny glass hut?
No, I only can picture it as part of that little mini strip there, which is a very cute little strip too.
Yeah, original Spud's Green
Mackenzie.
Lake. Yes, there's a super party animal. I can't really show you. The original Spud Fish and Chips by Green Lake you would just have absolutely loved it, Andrew. It was just like right out of the 1950s.
Oh,
it
flat
was
top roof,
angled, but but it had an old neon sign that said Spud Fish and Chips. It was just like it was quintessential Seattle. But anyway, at around that point, that part of the lake, I started to feel a discomfort in my stomach.
Oh yeah, this is really sweet. Oh my God,
Isn't that cute?
Is that actually googie? The way it goes down and up the roof like that?
I think
that
that's
is amazing.
googie.
I think so. That is amazing. Yeah,
right?
that's really
and that
sweet.
was the version of my childhood.
Oh,
that's like where we
wow.
would go. But anyway, I started to feel some discomfort, and then I started by thinking, well, I'm pretty close to the end here. I'll just kind of push through this, and then I realized, no, this is like, if I keep running, I'm gonna be in some actual danger here of losing control of the situation. So I kind of stopped running. Then it went away, and then this was my mistake. I started running again because it receded the feeling of needing to go to the bathroom. And so I thought,
how far away are you from everything that, like, how far away are you from your hotel right now where you're staying?
I'm a car ride.
Oh, okay. So you drove to Green Lake.
I drove to Green Lake. So I was staying.
So how far are you from the car? Are you like a mile? Because the lake is about 3 miles around.
Yeah, about 3 miles.
Okay, yeah.
And I was, at this point, I was probably, it was 3 miles into the run, so I might have been like, there might have been 2/10 of a mile.
Okay, so you're getting close back.
I'm close to the car.
Okay, good.
And the thing is, if I would have just, like, the first time that it started and I started walking and then it went away, if I would have just kept walking, probably things would have been in an okay zone. But I decided to push my luck and try to, like, finish out the jog. And then the second time that I started back up, then all of a sudden it came back. And now it came back with kind of a vengeance. So now
you didn't listen to it.
I didn't listen to my body. I did not trust my body. And so I go back to walking. And now I'm like I'm realizing that I'm probably I'm in an amount of discomfort that means I probably can't get in my car and drive to the hotel, because really what scared me about driving to the hotel was I got in my car. I went because my car was parked by Super Jock and Jill, the running store.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I know, but okay.
I got on Green Lake Way. I got in my car. I started it up, and then by the time I went about a block, I was like, it was cramping.
And now you're driving. Okay, so I was worried about even just getting into the motion of getting into the car.
No, it wasn't quite that bad. But what I realized was my best shot right now is probably to go to this Starbucks that's on Green Lake Way. Now I would have gone to, I could have gone to the community center, where Evans Pool is, the Green Lake Community Center, but those bathrooms are really rough.
And you didn't even take a peek at them today.
No, because I've used them before for like going number one, and they're tough. It's got like 2 stalls. There's often people kind of posted up in the stalls, like kind of on a long-term basis. That's why I think they've taken the doors off of some of them. If there is a toilet seat on there, it's a pretty crummy one. My memory of it is that there's no toilet seat on there.
I've seen Let's Go to Prison, so I think I know the kind of toilet you're talking about.
It's not great in there. And so again, my original plan was I'll get in the car, I'll head to the hotel, But then I started, it really hit me. And what I was really thinking was, it's going to be so bad by the time I get to the hotel. I don't know if the hotel has a bathroom in the lobby.
Yep.
And what I cannot mess with, I thought I could probably get to the hotel. But what I would not be able to do would be to go into the hotel to wait for the elevator.
Duck walk across the lobby.
Elevators are slow at this Residence Inn. Take the elevator up to my floor, go all the way down to my room, scan in, get to the bathroom. Because as you and I were talking about before the show, our bodies are fearfully and wonderfully made, but they know when we are they know enough that we're close to a toilet. They don't know, though, how accessible the toilet is. In other words,
it's weird how they just have this radar. They're like, a toilet's getting nearby. I can start to loosen up here.
But it's not accounting for the elevator time.
No, it doesn't understand elevators.
For let's say the key card, let's say your phone demagnetized the key card. Your body is not able to factor any of those things. It's just basically doing like a Find My iPhone, but it's for toilets.
Yeah.
And it's going, well, I see a toilet here. And you're like, yeah, but there's a lot of steps.
Yeah.
So instead I decide, it's like evasive action. I illegally park in front of Greg's Green Lake Cycles.
Okay.
And like by illegally, I mean there was a parking spot, but the back of my car was slightly blocking this parking lot that nobody was using. It's like 7:30 in the morning. And I get out of the car, and again, my body is starting to do the thing that we've already been talking about, where this is going from being about a 6 to being about a 9 as I get closer to the Starbucks. And as I'm walking into the Starbucks, a guy walks kind of in front of me in the Starbucks, and he starts walking towards where I assume the bathrooms are. And I'm like, if this guy just kind of cut me off and is now going to go post up in the bathroom, that could be the like the Mariners going on this 10-game road trip. That could be the whole season.
Yeah, right.
Depending on how this goes. If this guy goes to the bathroom, season over for me.
Yeah.
Season over for these shorts.
Yeah.
Like, this could be really bad. Amazingly, he was going to pick up you made an order on your phone.
Oh, nice.
He was just going to get something he had already ordered. It's like, oh. So then I go around. There's at the Starbucks, there's 2 bathrooms. One is occupied. The other does not appear to be occupied, but of course I don't have the code. Yeah. So now I'm walking back, and all of this is, again, my body is like, it's like escalating. So now I have to go back, and I have to try to find some internal chill to ask one of the baristas what the code for the bathroom is without what's the word I'm looking for? Exposing the desperation of my situation.
Although maybe exposing a little bit of desperation would help here.
Sure.
Nobody wants this mess.
Exactly. Listen, everybody loses if I don't get this code ASAP. So I was like, what is the code? By the way, it's 1020. If you're ever at the Green Lake Starbucks, that's a freebie.
It's 1020. Okay.
Aren't there like
For
websites
now,
where people are... I think in New York there was some people that were putting together websites or apps of all the codes for bathrooms, which I personally support.
Yeah, I have a mental list of one in the U District, which is the U District or the University Bookstore. Which, by the way, did you hear that's being bought by Barnes and Noble? Is going to be running because it was never. It was always an independent bookstore, but it wasn't a university. It was called the University Bookstore, but it's not run by the university.
You know what?
There's some
kind of news to me.
Yeah, there's some
crazy
partnership there, but it's basically a 100-year-old independently run bookstore that has some cooperation with the university. But Barnes and Noble is buying it, which makes me worried that the first thing they might do is put a lock on that door, because there's always been a clean, free bathroom on the second floor of that. And now in Ballard, I have a place too, because I realized, when I go to see my doctor at Swedish, I know on the second floor where there's like just a one-room little personal bathroom that is always open, and there are no locks or anything. So as I learn the city, I want to have a bathroom in every neighborhood that I can walk to just in case.
Very smart. Well, so I was listening to the Ezra Klein show the other day, and he was talking to a congresswoman from, I think her name's Sarah McBride, and she's from, I want to say, Delaware. Okay. And she's a trans woman, and they were talking about the way that we really regressed on trans rights and on public opinion around trans issues, which is obviously really troubling. But the one thing that seems to be very durable is everybody supports single-use bathrooms.
Yeah, because it's so
much better.
Yes, exactly.
Like, I don't care how many American flags you're pulling behind your stupid truck. Everybody wants to shit in peace.
In a private little bathroom.
It's like every other thing. It's like, unfortunately, again, backsliding in terms of like a whole host of things. This is the one, though, that apparently everyone is like, yeah, that is better.
But the thing is, and just to give the other side a little bit of credit, America has always been deeply, deeply interested in girls swimming. I mean,
100%.
it's basically the national sport, which is
the
why
original, before they put an eagle on the money, they had a women's college swimmer.
Yeah, we have
assigned female at birth. That's
exactly right.
That was who was on the money.
We have an ex-listener who literally wrote into the show after the election, who wrote like one of those like really, really long, clearly copy and pasted from other diatribes. I don't know if I ever showed this to you or not. But you know how like sometimes you get emails from people that are like so passionate that it comes in 17 different fonts and sizes because they're copying and pasting from other things they sent to their nephews or whatever.
It's
whatever.
like they've kidnapped Logic, and this is a ransom note.
Yes, exactly. It was like this whole thing about like, well, I mean, it's just nature, and how can this be happening to all these swimmers? And I was just like, I remember writing back. All I wrote back was, I didn't realize you were such a big swimming fan. What were some of your favorite meets from last year? And then they wrote back that they were canceling their donation, which is absolutely fine. I don't need those monies. But all of that is to say, yes,
single-use bathroom.
Single-use bathroom. Everybody can get on board with that.
I mean, because let me tell you, Andrew, when I got the code 1020 from a barista who, I don't know if his name is Cole, but I'd bet $1,000 his kid's name is Cole. He's just like a tall, good-looking 18-year-old. Speaking of swimming, he's probably on the swim team at high school.
Tell you what, if Cole Young is not on this road trip for the Mariners, we know for sure that was him.
Cole Young had a very effective sacrifice bunt the other day, which was in that inning when we actually managed to come back in the ninth, and we actually, I think it was Class A was the reliever that we were able to put a couple runs up against, and I was like, long live the sacrifice bunt.
Yeah.
I'll take it. But anyway,
hearing them on the radio.
When Cole gave me the code, and then I went back there, and nobody had gotten in front of me in line, and I hit 1020, and I opened that bathroom, and it was perfectly clean, and it was totally, obviously private, and I just closed the door, and I locked it, and I knew in that moment everything was going to be okay. It was...
For you, not the bathroom.
No. No. I did a lot of, again, I don't want to get too detailed, but I am a big courtesy flusher. And by that I mean, as the event is occurring, I'm flushing away. I don't know how that is for my carbon footprint or my, my water usage, but I just think that's, and I'll be honest with you, and I hope she doesn't hear this, it's a technique that I've developed at Becca's house.
To sort of maintain, we're talking about olfactory stuff here. Basically.
Exactly.
Like, don't let it sit. Mitigate is the word I was looking for. Don't let it sit in there too long. Just like, let's
courtesy flush.
Let's keep this going.
Let's keep this. Let's try to have this evil. Let's try to have this evil, in this room as little as possible.
Let's just get this down the Sarlacc.
Let's hit it right down, right into that Sarlacc, and so I am. And by the way, I think it's a fairly effective technique. Again, Becca must think that I'm having a medical situation. She hears 8 flushes coming out of the bathroom when I'm over at her place. But it's just to keep it moving, keep it out of here, keep it in the room as little as possible. But
can I ask you a question? And also, I asked this question because it's also driving me bananas. That I don't know why I said Green Lake Strength and Fitness. It is Green Lake Strength and Conditioning. You were absolutely right. I feel like I always say conditioning and then I am wrong. But no, it is Green Lake Strength and Conditioning. We should shout them out. They've
absolutely.
Kate and her partner have been supporters of TBTL for a long time now. But I have a question for you, and I don't want to put Kate on the spot here.
Could I have used the bathroom at Green Lake Strength and Conditioning?
If Kate were to hear this and say, hey, listen, next time this happens, just swangle on in here. We'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of caveats there because I don't know if Kate is there all the time.
Yeah.
If she doesn't know you, then there's just somebody at the front desk. But if that were an option, am I right that you would still avoid it because you're not going to be
sooner die?
Right. Exactly.
That would be that's the nightmare scenario there.
So you don't want somebody who knows you knowing that you're in this stuff.
I would crawl into the foliage at Green Lake like a wounded animal going to die and go to the bathroom there before I would use a listener's restroom at their home or business, that would be the absolute...
You'd go in the middle of the Little Red Hens dance floor before.
I would do what our friend Jen Flash Andrews, I think, once had to do, which was hang off the back of a moving boat.
Oh, I remember that
Which
story.
is, I'll tell you, way harder than it seems. There's a whole thing. You don't know how much water pressure is actually going on, keeping it inside you. No, I would never, ever, ever do that, even though I bet you anyway that they would offer it because they're wonderful, kind people. But yeah, so that's, I mean, the end of that story is that everything turned out okay. But I really did have the feeling walking into the Starbucks that if both bathrooms were occupied and we're both going to be occupied for a long time, if it was something where I needed to like buy a coffee first, because it did say restrooms are for customers only. Like if there had been any major hiccup in the situation, I was going to be in real trouble because again, my body was like the process was beginning whether I wanted it to or not, and that train was leaving the station, and I was not the conductor.
Yeah, and not to turn this into like a I don't know, something to get on a soapbox about, but also like I think about that stuff a lot. And I don't know if you ended up buying a coffee from them or not, or if you just used the restroom and left. Like I'm glad that you're able to do that, but I do wonder if you would have had that option if you looked really scrubby.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I thought about
if
that.
you look like you had been sleeping on the sidewalk, the answer is probably no.
Yes,
and then you are in that situation. Yet you're both human beings.
I wondered that exact same thing because I came in there, I had like running gear on, so I was kind of gross actually.
Yeah,
but in my own way.
But clearly, like somebody who has
could buy the coffee
or
who
whatever,
could buy coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
But I really thought that because it said, you know, and I asked the code, and there was absolutely no hesitation, and that's, I think, probably hugely privileged, you know, and I didn't buy a coffee.
And you didn't buy a coffee.
Because, and I thought about that too, as I walked out, I do think Cole noticed. Yeah. But it was too late. Damage done.
He's going to open up his own shop called Cole Brew.
The actual...
Thank you.
The actual... I mean, to be honest with you, the saddest thing was that as I left, there was a guy coming around the corner trying to see, you know, what was going on with the bathrooms. And the bathroom that was next to me was still occupied. I don't know if it was the same person or somebody else as when I went in. But he then noticed that the one I had come out of was not occupied, and then he went back. This was a guy maybe in his 60s, and I thought, oh, he's going to use the bathroom. And instead, he went back out to the Starbucks, and he said to his wife, honey, this one's available. Oh. And I just wanted to say, vaya con Dios, lady.
Oh, okay.
In other words, he was sending his wife into the one I had just used.
Oh, my God. And they had those, like, cartoon spirits coming out of it.
I mean, again, I was courtesy flushing.
Right, yeah, what are you going to do?
I mean, what can you do? This is the human condition. Sure. But I was like, he was like, oh, honey, there's one available. And I thought, oh, honey.
No, honey.
You don't know what's exactly been going on in there, but it, you know, it could have been a lot worse. So I'm happy about that.
Well, speaking of things being a lot worse, I'm very interested in hearing what happened with your interviews yesterday.
Yeah.
So should we do the Dazzling Donors first and then get into that?
Absolutely.
We was hoping for some razzle-dazzle.
Razzle-dazzle.
That's right, man. Razzle-dazzle.
On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody razzle-dazzle.
It appears, if our copious record keeping is accurate, and I believe it is because we've got our man John Sklaroff on the case, we have arrived at our final dazzling donor.
That's right.
And it is none other than Aaron Leninger. Aaron says, Len-inger, which is fitting this year. See message below.
Oh, no. That's foreshadowing. That's dark foreshadowing.
In Portland, Oregon. I know the end of this story, Andrew.
Do you? You know Aaron?
I ran into Aaron outside of Livewire recently.
And that's how Aaron got injured? Because you ran into her?
I did, and there's a lot for the lawyers and the insurance company at the Alberta Rose Theater to sort out.
Be careful. Don't
so
say
I need
too
to
much.
I want to just let the listeners know I have to be very careful as to how I describe the situation here.
Understood.
Aaron says, once again, I procrastinated way too long on sending this. Seeing Luke before Livewire last week inspired me to get it done.
There you go.
So I'll tell you, I believe the first time I ran into Aaron in the wild was in that Nike store.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can get a sweet discount on the Nike stuff.
Right, because you're a duck, right?
Because I am dating someone who is married to someone who used to work at Nike, and I managed to weasel my way onto that
I
list.
think you just said you're dating somebody who's married to someone who used to work at Nike.
I'm dating someone who's related to someone who's
Okay.
married to someone. I think I left out one link in that
I was
chain.
like, you're dating. This is a huge scoop if you're dating somebody who's married.
And let me tell you, they are going to love this shirt. It's a complicated web of polyamory.
How did I get
cuckedness.
involved?
Somehow your shirt's now involved. But Aaron was there, I think, because Aaron is an educator, and I think also sometimes, rightfully, Nike invites those kinds of folks out there. Anyway, then the next time I saw Aaron, it was outside of Livewire, and Aaron had a very, very, very injured leg. Here's what Aaron says. I got a bunch of shout-outs. First, to my mom, Janie, and my partner, Chris, for their incredible support over the past 3 months as I've worked to recover from a gnarly ski accident. Where I broke. This is a little trigger warning. If you're squeamish out there, I'm reading Aaron's message. It was a ski accident where I broke my left tibia, my fibula, and ankle. I mean, that's kind of that's the trifecta. The tibia.
What's left?
Nothing. Almost nothing. I emailed you both an x-ray pic of the metal now permanently in my leg. I don't know what I would have done without the two of them. TBTL was also a constant companion. I believe the two of them would be Janie and Chris.
Yeah.
But also us, hopefully. I mean, can we get complimented in one of these messages finally?
Come on, you're giving us your money. You should compliment us even more.
It's been a long, dry spell of the dazzling donors telling us that we're amazing, Andrew.
Yeah, right.
I think it's been 12 hours. TBTL, oh, here we go. This is the good part. TBTL was also a constant companion, keeping me company during so many long days of doing nothing. Your humor and banter were the perfect distraction and helped me keep my spirits up as I healed. Okay, second, shout out to our friends Milwaukee Cafe Food Cart at Brooklyn Coretta Pod in PDX. So I believe it's the Milwaukee Cafe Food Cart.
Okay, and is a pod, is this one of those areas where they have a bunch of
That's
food
what
carts?
I'm guessing. Now, I don't know if I know the Brooklyn Coretta Pod, but
look it up.
my sense is it's probably an area we've got an accumulation of food carts. Last year, I shouted out the cafe. The cart has many of the same Delish Cafe dishes, plus new cart-only items. Lastly, shout out to Milwaukee Bowl, our favorite place to roll with a few tens. That sounds, Andrew, it sounds like we got to get you back down to...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Milwaukee, Oregon, which is a suburb of Portland, is very, very intriguing to me because my sense is, I could be wrong, is that it was maybe built up in the 1940s, 1950s, and 60s. So you've got this amazing Pietro's Pizza there. Just Google Pietro's Pizza, Milwaukee,
Will
Oregon.
you do me a favor and Google Milwaukee Bowl and watch the opening drone shot on their website? It begins with like a autoplay video, and it shows a drone shot of like the classic 60s building, I believe, 60s, maybe 50s. What do you call that sort of arched roof? It's not a dome. It's almost like
a Quonset hut?
Is it a Quonset hut? I'm not sure, but boy, that is classic.
That is really...
Oh, the sign is put it in my veins.
I love it so much. Gosh, that is so cool. I didn't even know this was here.
This is great.
Look up Pietro's Pizza, Milwaukee, Oregon, and just do an image search. It'll just show you the sign.
This is not the pizza place that you got your T-shirt from, right?
No, that was Chico's Pizza in Seaview, Washington. 7 days without pizza makes 1 week.
Yes.
But this is also, I could be wrong, but I think this might be the OG Pietro's Pizza.
Okay.
Which has got this amazing neon sign outside of it.
Since 1957, it says, and I'm looking at they have almost kind of a old their font is almost like old Englishy kind of. I can't find any photos of the exterior of it, but I will keep looking.
Okay, it's
oh yeah, this is really cute. Oh yeah,
it's like this thing is like, I feel like this part of Milwaukee, Oregon is kind of like, again, it got built at this certain time, and then the buildings and the signs and things are just kind of like frozen in that amber.
This is really sweet.
And I love it so much. Anyway, so maybe we should take a trip down there, do some bowling, eat some pizza.
That sounds good. But you gotta, if you're eating pizza while you're bowling, good Lord, wash your hands between every single...
I am not germ-phobic, but if I think for a moment about my hands that have been in a bowling,
cannot snack while bowling.
Like a public bowling ball, and then snacking, I get a
bad feeling.
I get a bad feeling.
Too,
Aaron says, "Thanks again, biz boys. What you do is so important."
Oh.
Well, Aaron, what you do is so important, and thank you for all the support. And continued good journey. Good luck on your journey of healing. We really hope that you that the multiple injuries to your leg are getting better. Erin was moving around okay by the time I saw her.
One of those wheelie things?
I think she might have been in a walking boot by this time.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember a scooter.
Okay,
I think we might be in walking boot. Maybe with... Did she maybe have some kind of a walking device? I don't think there was a scooter there.
Okay.
Because I think if there was a scooter, I would have
tried to ride it.
I would have stolen it and probably gone and done some
totally
friggin' sweet jumps with it. But
I totally could see you doing that. Hey, can I just give this a spin?
Yeah, totally. Actually, I do. Having broken my ankle as a kid, like a teenager, back when it was just regular crutches technology.
Yeah.
And then like crutching. Like going to Northgate Mall for some reason and then crutching my way up and down the mall and then just feeling like I have now worn out all of the skin, right here.
Yeah. I've never had to do that. Did you tell me, though, or did it come up on the show one time that also you were embarrassed of the crutches? Were they like third or fourth hand crutches?
No,
or
I think I was embarrassed about my trumpet in fifth grade because I had the poor trumpet. But the crutches I think were fairly standard.
Okay.
But they were just really uncomfortable. After a while. And then nowadays I see people like in the airport, like wheeling. I'm not saying that I want to injure my leg. I really don't.
No, don't.
But those scooters look kind of cool.
They
look kind of
they
fun,
do.
though,
But you don't even say that, though. I was sort of thinking that before, and I was like, do not even
I'm jinxing
tempt fate that way. But yeah, that's right. You don't see standard crutches as much because of those wheelie dudes.
Yeah, they're a big improvement.
Dickies, yeah.
Hello and welcome to Top Story.
I did have your words echoing in my mind yesterday, Andrew, because I started off the day down at my place and we did the show, and then I zipped up here to get to Macaw Hall, which is where the Seattle Opera is, which was where William Shatner and Neal deGrasse Tyson were doing a kind of a sort of a two-man, I guess, conversation / presentation last night called The Universe is Absurd. And the first thing I noticed when I was backstage at Macaw Hall was I immediately saw a poster for something called Bluebeard's Castle, which was the opera that in the early days of TBTL, Jen Flash Andrews decided that she was going to try to save the opera for some reason. By the way, opera's still there. I think it might have been okay the whole time, but
Did it start with them giving you some tickets to give away?
That very well could have been the origin of the whole thing. What I know is that the branding around it became TBTL Saves the Opera.
Mm-hmm.
And so somehow the opera that worked out for us to save was called Bluebeard's Castle.
Oh, wow.
And I remember we got together, we sold, we basically did a group ticket thing. I want to say maybe we had 50 or 100 listeners. We went to this opera. And then I think we had a reception afterwards, or somehow afterwards we all got together. And this led to one of the funnier moments in the history of the show, which I don't really want to paraphrase because it's stealing Jen's valor. But basically, the Bluebeard's Castle opera is just a guy. I think it's very German.
Mm-hmm.
It's a guy who's living in this castle, and he has basically killed all his ex-wives or all his wives, and they're in different rooms in the castle. And now he's got a new lady visiting, and the whole opera is her basically saying, "Show me what's in that room," and him saying, "You don't want to see what's in that room."
Okay.
And then she says, "You got to show me what's in the room," and he's like, "You don't want to see what's in the room."
This is like you at the Starbucks today, and that
Yes.
woman who was, "Show me where the restroom is." You don't want to go in there,
ma'am. We call this Lukebeard's Castle, and you don't want to be in here. And then eventually he opens the door, and then she's horrified.
Yeah.
And then they move on to the next room. It's like 3.5 hours of that. We just so happened to pick, it wasn't like the Mikado or, whatever, one of these sort of lush, beautiful,
Italian
sort of
opera.
romantic
Yeah.
Italian, Puccini or something. It was like the most intense, murderous German opera of all time.
Now, I'm really intrigued, though. So is this literally a poster from that production back in 2008 or 2009? That is really cool.
It says 2008. I took a picture of it and sent it to Jen.
Oh, yeah. Can we make that the show pick, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send
great.
it to you as well. So that was the first thing I noticed. And then the second thing that happened was I went down to the area where we were going to be interviewing the guys. And what we were going to try to do is talk to Neal deGrasse Tyson first, and then go film their sound check which was going to be, where they're kind of working out the details of their script and when this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And then we were going to bring William Shatner down and then talk to him individually, and then we're going to talk to both of them for a few minutes. Now,
like the Newlywed Game. Find out if they gave the same answers.
That's right. We got to separate
Yeah.
them and then lock them into a story, as I just said the other day about something else.
Did you ask William Shatner what's the weirdest place he ever made whoopee?
I did, and his answer will shock you. I'm going to just start speaking like Seattle Times headlines. You won't believe what William Shatner said was the weirdest place he'd ever made whoopee, Andrew.
You won't believe where this iconic actor said he made whoopee.
So we get, eventually we get Neal deGrasse Tyson down there. He's running a little bit late. And this is like a bit of a stressful day because, like I said, these guys already have a lot going on. Like it's the day of their show. They've never done this show before.
Okay, so it's opening in Seattle.
It's opening for some random reason. DeGrasse Tyson said to me they picked Seattle because he seems to be, and William Shatner, they both seem to be popular in Seattle for some reason. Who knows? So they've never done the show before, so that's kind of like, you know.
Yeah, this is kind of a weird time to get them, huh?
And so I'm like, how like committed to doing this interview are they really going to be? So it turns out pretty committed. Neal deGrasse Tyson, super nice, like really thoughtful, really jovial, powerful Dr. Hibbert vibes from The Simpsons. Like he'd be saying something really interesting about astronomy, and then he'd break into this like very kind of like just boisterous laugh. Like he was a really easy laugh, which was kind of nice just because that puts everybody at ease.
Do you know that I booked him on a show like way back before he was the celebrity that he is today?
Yeah.
Because there were various, like, I don't know if you would cringe at this, but sort of like pop scientists or very popular scientists, and before he was like a household name, which I think you can argue he is a household name
kind of
now.
At this point.
I remember way back when, I'm not saying he was a nobody. I'm not saying I gave him his start.
Sure.
You know what?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Say it.
I gave him his start. I taught him everything I knew.
Speak your truth.
But I remember booking him, and he had a book or two out or something.
Yeah.
But he wasn't like he wasn't like landing the big fish that it would be today to get him on your show, I guess.
He was remarkably nice, which again, this is a guy who at this point has done a lot of television on his own. Like he was the host of Cosmos, like he took over for Carl Sagan.
Yeah.
He's just, what I get nervous about when we're interviewing somebody who's already done a ton of TV stuff in their life is that it will be boring to them, and therefore it will, like, I said this yesterday on the show that, like, what I know about William Shatner is it's not like getting to be on CBS Sunday Morning is some unbelievable opportunity for him. And the fact of the matter is that excitement is kind of helpful. To use a Star Trek reference, it's sort of the dilithium crystal that runs a lot of these interviews. When the interview subject is excited about it, it goes better than when it's like the last thing they want to be doing an hour before they have to go on stage in front of 3,000 people. So Neal deGrasse Tyson is great. That's like a total home run. I'm like, okay, phew. Now we go upstairs because they're doing their sound check. And William Shatner is, first of all, unbelievably vital as a 94-year-old. Like, I can't believe it. He is reading this teleprompter. They've got these two teleprompters set up, which just have bullet points on them. It's not a script. It's just because they're going to kind of talk about their childhood a little bit. They're going to talk about some science topics. But they wanted to make sure that they were actually, there was a focus to the conversation. And somebody said they wanted to make sure it wasn't like TBTL.
Oh, interesting.
I was excited to be mentioned, but hurt that this is the,
that is
what
weird.
you want to avoid.
That reminds me of something I saw on TV the other day.
Sure.
It has nothing to do with your story, but it was a
Was
really
it from one of your tapes that you're digitizing?
Yes. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So it was pretty, like, he's walking around. William Shatner's walking around in some Hoka sneakers, and like just like absolutely no visible mobility or balance issues. Like at 94, I mean, it was really striking how he was totally fine. Like he looked and behaved like he was maybe 64. I mean, really and truly, like it was really something. But in that, he was also had very specific ideas about how he wanted they were running. There's somebody who's setting up the teleprompter, and he had a really specific way that he wanted the timing on the teleprompter to be written out, and the way that he wanted the different notes to be. And I would just say that he was not, in that moment, it was the I don't say sabotage, I say sabotage, Bill.
Yeah. You're saying it wasn't. You're saying
it was.
It was. You were saying like very exacting.
Very
like
exacting.
I'm going to be. This is my ass out here, and I need these
very direct and very not like the way you or I would probably be, where you're like, before you ask, can they change the thing? You maybe say like, hey, if it's not a hassle, it just helped me out a lot if we change this, because I'm just worried I'm going to screw it up if if it's not written this way. It would be, let's just say, much more direct with the staff and with Neal deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, interesting.
So there was like some times where this was where I started to become very concerned about things. Was the show ended with Bill Shatner reading one of his songs. He's putting out these albums still where he does this music.
Still doing that?
He's still doing it, and he's still doing it that way. He's still Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Just sort of like taking popular songs, doing an almost spoken word, very much spoken word with a is it still an orchestral sort of?
In this case, it was a kind of freestyle jazz trumpet.
Oh yeah, I don't even know if now that I say orchestral, I don't know if that was ever a proper description of what he was doing in the '60s. But anyway,
he had a trumpet guy who had flown up from L.A. to accompany him.
Interesting.
In the performance of this song, which again would be much more like spoken word with a. I have to say the trumpet work was spectacular. It was really nice, but they have him reading on an iPad. So he stepped off the main stage, and he's now at the front of the stage where there's a music stand with an iPad. And he's doing his song, and the teleprompter. I'm now back on the side stage. I'm watching the teleprompter do their thing.
He's talking his song.
He's talking his song. By the way, we got into that in the interview, and it was really interesting. But I was like, why do you do that for your music? He's like, because I can't sing.
But he wants to be connected to music.
He was like, I love music so much, I can't sing. So I have tried to find this other way to get into the musicality of words for myself. But I was like kind of proud of him that it wasn't, I didn't like offend him by being like, why do you do that way?
And honestly, he's like, well, I like doing it. Yeah. It brings me something. People pay me to do it. Like, why wouldn't you, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, he was...
Well, pride, I guess. No offense.
It's not my thing, although I'll just say, not to jump to the end of the story, but like, it was also how he closed out the night. And I will just say, there was something, it's like when you're hanging out with this guy, you kind of just agree informally, I guess, to enter the world that is William Shatner's weird ass brain. And I say that with love, that like, it just kind of, it sort of worked. Like, it was like, well, of course he's doing that. Of course he's talking in that way he talks, and the guy's playing.
And if you're there to see him, you're in that world.
It kind of like it got a standing O, and I don't think it was ironic. I think it was like it somehow worked because we had all entered the world of William Shatner's brain for 2 hours.
I believe it,
but.
But anyway, before we get to that, this is still, you've only interviewed
Neal deGrasse Tyson. I have not.
And
it's getting tense because he's doing his song, and the iPad that they provided him freezes.
Yeah, jeez.
And I'm like, and I can see, I'm looking at the teleprompter person, and the teleprompter is moving. She is doing it correctly. It's on 2 of the monitors on stage. It's the only place it's not is the iPad.
Yeah, okay.
And Shatner is not pleased. He has stopped the whole thing. He's like, this is the nightmare scenario if this thing stops. He's like, why is it stopped? And I can tell that the teleprompter person, I should say, does not, because she's not seeing the iPad. She doesn't understand. There's a confusion about what's gone wrong.
Yeah.
She thinks she's not scrolling it fast enough for him. It's not even moving on his iPad, but it's moving on other places. So there's a breakdown in communication. And I'm like, I'm not even trying to get into this, but I'm just watching this all kind of.
And you have eyes on his iPad. You see where the disconnect is. You see that his isn't moving.
I can tell.
Yeah.
And of course, I have to be honest with you. I think I would have ideally, I would have been more diplomatic in that moment than Bill Shatner was. But I absolutely agree with him because there's nothing that tech people love more than hanging a performer out to dry with an iPad that they're very certain will work.
Yeah, right. Is there any reason why, I mean, and I'm just a Mr. Belt and Suspenders, as you know, especially when it comes to technology, but I would have if worst case scenario, a printout up there as a backup.
It was killing me because I wanted to say that. Again, it's not my place to interject. And I again, at this point, I've still never spoken to William Shatner. I'm just watching all this.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, someone needs to print him out the script, print out the lyrics, put them on the music stand. If the iPad doesn't, by the way, iPad connectivity issues. It was on the wrong Wi-Fi or whatever.
I was going to say, I bet you it's like a mirror thing.
Yes.
Whatever. We don't have to get into it, but I use a tablet so that Genevieve can see my computer when we do the commercial podcast because I want her to have eyes on it. But it's always a janky handshake.
It was something had gone off about it, and all I was thinking was, just print the lyrics out for the man. But I mean, this is where and so eventually, after there's a lot, and people are running around, and everyone's like, it's this moment of tension where I'm like, this is not the best lead-in to us sitting down with the dude.
Yeah.
And finally, he's like, I just need somebody to print out the lyrics so that if
He said that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, why didn't anybody think of that? Like, first of all, the lyrics should have been printed out thing one.
Just as a backup. Even if you prefer the scrolling, which sounds nicer, bigger font or whatever, you don't want to be holding papers while you're kind of doing something that is performative and musical. Like, that's all fine. But if everything shits the bed, at least you have the papers there. You don't stop in the middle of a performance that closes out your opening
it would
night.
have been a very bad scene. And so the funny thing is the ultimate resolution of the whole thing was he never even ended up with the printout. They just didn't use the iPad, and he stayed on stage because these larger monitors were hardwired.
Okay, yeah.
So there was no chance of like latency or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Again, to skip to the very end of the show, when he got up there to do his song, I was again back in the position of looking over the shoulder of the teleprompter operator.
You were more nervous than anybody in the room.
I have never been more stressed out about the execution of a teleprompter scroll in my life.
It's something that you had literally no connection to.
No Doug on that flight.
Doug on
I mean, actually, honestly, everything was fine. I'd gotten my interviews in. This was just, I was just like, I was just kind of like,
you don't want to see Daddy be mad.
And also, I didn't. The person operating the teleprompter was great at their job.
Yeah,
they were really, really good. They're a professional. They're in a union. They know what they're doing. It's like when I'm at CBS in New York and I'm doing one of these commentaries. There's a person whose whole job it is to manage the teleprompter. It's kind of a thing. And this person was great at their job. None of what had happened previously was their fault.
Yeah.
But I was just like, please, God, don't let this technology fail in this of all moments. Well, here was where, and I'm sorry I'm belaboring this story, but they finally, Shatner is mollified that the new plan. Oh, and the other thing was, there was kept being these points where Neal would have a suggestion. He'd be like, well, we could all stand over, and Bill would be like, Neal, let me just work this out. Let me just work this out. So he's like wandering around, like he's pacing around the stage trying to figure out where he wants to stand.
I've pulled that before, sort of.
He was like, but it's so funny because you could see everyone on stage tiptoeing around trying to keep William Shatner in a good mood. Including Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
And trying to be like, and it just became apparent that we're all on his time and at sort of at his, I guess, what is it, pleasure or something. It's just like everyone was trying to kind of figure out how to make the situation better. And then eventually he was satisfied that just using the other two teleprompters would be fine. The thing was, our crew had to run downstairs. We're now late, by the way. We're now like 45 minutes late
to start your interview
with William Shatner. And our crew has now gone from filming all of this to going downstairs to make sure everything is ready to go. So the second that we get him seated, we're like talking to him. We're rolling. We're not like setting more cameras up. That left me as the person who was supposed to get William Shatner downstairs at McCaw Hall. A thing that was challenging because A, we'd never met. B, it was unclear if anyone had told him he needed to do this. And C, I didn't really know how to get back to the room that we were filming in.
That's a big one.
It's like one of those theaters. It's like totally Byzantine.
Yeah.
There's like, it's not on the same floor. Everything kind of looks like loading docky and kind of not like kind of the same and not specific or whatever.
You have a Warren too.
It's a total Warren, and I'm thinking like this is where I'm like, I have to get a mildly annoyed William Shatner to come to another location with me that I may not be able to find.
And he keeps saying, "What's in this room?" And you keep saying, "Don't open that door."
Exactly. So, amazingly, he steps off stage, and I say, "Hey, I'm Luke Burbank from CBS." I think I might even said I'm Luke Burbank, and he says, "Are you from CBS?"
Oh, okay. So he knew.
Somebody had told him.
Good.
And I said, "I am." And he said, I think I'm supposed to come with you. And I said, "Yes." And we started walking towards the elevator, and he said, "This place is great. I love the acoustics." And I said, "Are you an opera fan?" He goes, "Oh, I'm so, I admire opera." Just so jovial. So nice.
Did you say we saved opera in
Yeah.
Seattle?
Hey, are you familiar with Bluebeard's Castle? I told him that story, by the way.
That's fun.
I literally said, I used to do a radio show, and we came here. We sold a bunch of tickets to come to the opera, and it was this weird opera called Bluebeard's Castle. And he's like listening.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually like engaged in the conversation. Yeah. We get to the correct elevator. We get to where we're going to do the interview, and he was just as engaged and nice, thoughtful to the crew, to me. Like there was like, and again, maybe this is the two sides of him. Maybe one is when he's recording voiceovers that they're telling him to say sabotage differently. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is him just being extra on, but he was so engaged in the conversation. I found it actually really amazing. Mm-hmm. And we just talked for like so long, to the point where I was like, all right, well, thank you so much. We need to like bring in Neal deGrasse Tyson so that we can do the next part, because you need to go sit down for a while. Like, you're 94 years old. You're about to go on stage for 2 hours. That's where you need to have the energy. Like,
but you need Neal deGrasse Tyson to come in and join him, though, together.
So we wanted to do separate and together. So
but you've already done Neal. Now it's him. So one last piece. Get them
one
both
last
done
piece.
together.
And I'm like, well, this is maybe where we're going to lose him, because again, both of them, it's like we're going into like almost hour 2 of all of this with them, because they've each talked to us for 45 minutes. Now it's like, now you're together, and I could just see. I would have been unsurprised if both of them were like, well, we both did it. We did an interview. Now we got to do an interview to get like, what is this? Why does this keep going? I'll tell you one thing that was very interesting about working with William Shatner was, as soon as he sat down in the chair, at the very first thing that happened was he goes, is there a one shot? Where's my camera? Where's my one? And he immediately identified what his camera was, so he knew like where his action was. Although we actually don't really want that, to be honest.
No,
we don't want the person I'm interviewing staring into the camera. It's unsettling.
No, but it's not a talk show. It's not Johnny Carson.
But he wanted to know where it was.
He wants to mug.
So he knows what he's playing to, but not. But he's also smart enough to know that that's not. He didn't overdo total eye contact with me the whole time. I thought what was kind of interesting was, I mean, he was totally happy to talk about literally anything, but the bait that he wouldn't take very much was how he is freakishly vital for being 94 years old. Like, it is, I've never experienced anything like, I don't know how many 94-year-old people I've met in my life. Mm-hmm. I've never met a person who is that old who is as unaffected by age as he appears to be. Like, it's just totally, and I would bring it up and he would just kind of laugh and kind of like move on to another topic. Like, he didn't seem to have a lot of thoughts on how this has been going for him. I guess he's just living his life. Yeah. But like, I was like, are you going back to LA tomorrow? I was like, oh no, I got another gig here. He's going to a Comic-Con today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he
where's a Comic-Con today in Seattle that would have, I mean, that is the biggest
That seems
get
like the
you
biggest
can get,
I
right?
think maybe he said it might be on the east side. Is it over in Bellevue or something?
Interesting.
But like, so he was great. Neal deGrasse Tyson was really nice. They were both just like totally, like, I keep using the word engaged, but I just like, that's what you're hoping for, is that the person you're interviewing is actually kind of listening and taking it seriously and whatever. So they go up, they do the show. It's a big hit. The crowd loves it. He does his song. The teleprompter does not freeze. The standing ovation. And then they come off stage, and I'm like horfing down a sandwich backstage for some reason, because they had free sandwiches and I was really hungry by like 9 p.m. And they just get off stage and they're just like buzzing. Like, he's all excited. DeGrasse Tyson, they're like, he's like, hey, I really like that one part worked well. We should cut that other part. We did. Like, I was like, this guy don't quit.
Yeah. And just to be very clear, though, you got the two of them to sit down together before the show, or you're getting them after the show? And that all went well. Nothing to remark on there. Just
no, you mean the show or the two of them?
Sit down with the two of them.
The two of them was great. It went great. Yeah, they were
45 minutes.
It was another 40 to the point where we were now keeping them. I couldn't get them to leave, and I knew that they had to go do like the local Seattle TV. They had to go like.
You're worried about their schedule?
Well, because there was the guy running the whole thing was standing in the back corner of this theater we were filming in, which wasn't the main theater. We were in a different, smaller one. And he was up there because he was getting grief from local Seattle television, who had set up their whole thing. They were going to get to do a little quick hit with
Did he
these
have half a mask and a cape by any chance? Was he?
Did he kept crying about some chick? He seemed
About
very
some dame.
He was very seemed kind of depressed.
Interesting.
But anyway, and so so the sitting down with the two of them went well, but I just couldn't believe with Neal deGrasse Tyson, who's older than me but not 94. It's one thing, but I just couldn't believe this Shatner dude. Like, if I was his age and I had just had the day that he had, just doing the interviews with us, doing the local TV interviews, doing the rehearsal for the show, doing the show, like when I'm done with Livewire, which is, I think, a much more chill day for me than the day that 94-year-old guy had. I'm just like, I am so, when I walk off that little stage, I am so kind of out of energy. I'm so like, if I was William Shatner, I would have been like James Brown, like throw a cape over me and hustle me out of the building, right? Yeah. He just was like totally, like he appeared that he, like, then they're walking by and they're like, what'd you think?
But the first time you've been doing Livewire for, let's not even count the years yet, because I think you'd be shocked by that, but I'm sure when you first did Livewire, when you first did a TBTL live on stage or whatever, you were probably buzzing like crazy, right? Like you were like, it's probably that you do Livewire so often now that it has become a bit of a rhythm. It's just grim. You're just chugging along. Did you ask Shatner if he brought back Clay's disease or whatever it's called from space? Clay's Arc disease.
I forgot I was supposed to ask him that. I forgot I was supposed to ask him about. I forgot I was supposed to ask him about sabotage. I could have.
I'm glad you didn't. I just don't think that. I feel like that would have been just so wedged. And listen, I'm not like trying to protect him from anything. He sounds like a guy who knows when he sounds very professional in a certain way, but he also sounds like if the camera is not on him, he's not afraid to be a bit of an asshole to people who maybe it seems like he doesn't have to be nice to because they're not on camera or whatever. Like, I'm not trying to defend him or protect him from your investigative journalism regarding sabotage the system, but it just seems like it would have to be really, the conversation would not naturally go in that direction.
No, but what I wish I would have done, because he was so like not, because my worry about him was that he was the kind of guy that if you said one wrong thing to him, he would just get mad and like quit the interview or become like kind of like, you know, a little acerbic or something.
But if the cameras are rolling, I think he's smart enough to know that would.
But he was on camera, off camera, like no different.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Of the 15 minutes that I got to talk to him, you know, walking down in the elevator. So who knows?
Yeah,
maybe he has his like, this is the guy from. I'm in a suit, by the way, which I don't usually wear for the shoots. I'm like kind of all dressed up. So he's like, you know, maybe he goes into the mode as soon as he identifies that he's now in the orbit of, so to speak, the orbit of this TV thing happening. Maybe if I'm just, you know, somebody who's working on the crew there on the stage.
If you're the iPad man.
If I'm the iPad person, maybe that's a different vibe. I don't know. But what would have been kind of entertaining, just because of the lore of TBTL, this would have never made it in the TV piece, was because we had so much downtime. Because what happened was, after our solo interview ended, we had to go find Neal deGrasse Tyson and bring him in.
Yeah.
There was like 20 minutes where me and Shatner are talking. We're not filming.
Just wandering around?
No, we're just sitting in our chairs.
Somebody else is looking for it.
Yeah, somebody else is retrieving him, and we're just like, literally have nowhere to be. And I was like, do you want to wait here? He goes, the more I sit, the better I feel.
Yeah.
I'm like, you and me both, brother.
Yeah, right.
But like, I could have really asked him. I feel confident. I could have said like, okay, listen, I got to ask you a question. Like, just out of personal curiosity. I've been obsessed with that tape of you saying sabotage versus sabotage. Like, what happened with that? What's your memory? He would have told me.
Yeah.
And just like on a personal basis,
off camera,
that would have just been like
it would have salted him at all.
I don't think so. It would have been like, just like, again, having played that tape a million times on our show, it would have just been funny to get his perspective.
Yeah, that's true. And you feel like you could have gotten away with it, but you just couldn't quite bring yourself to do it.
I just forgot about it.
Oh, you forgot.
Because I was also trying to
do your job,
steer the questions towards things we could use, you know, for the TV piece or whatever. But like, anyway, the reason I said that your voice was in my ears was because you said yesterday, hey, Luke, I think it's going to go better than you're expecting because they're going to be very excited to promote this thing they're doing, and that you're going to be kind of like buzzing when you're done with it or whatever. And you were absolutely right.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I get to be right. You get to have a good interview.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. I'm glad to hear that. That's really good.
Yeah,
that's a good story.
Yeah, too. It was a fun evening.
There's a right way to rock and a wrong way to roll. You can just listen to your soul. Just remember that life is number one. You can be having so much fun. Just remember that
Nice. Old school.
Love it.
Analog.
These things are cool, man.
Yeah, I know.
They really are.
That's the old TBTL sound machine there. I got just a few Blurs days today, Luke. Not too many. These are people wishing other people a happy birthday or sometimes themselves a happy birthday. If you want to submit one of these, email me, Andrew at tbtl.net is the email address. Put Blurs Day in the subject line. Sarah says, this is my pal Sarah here in Seattle. Oh, that's on.
I saw a rocket ship and I was like, what are the chances?
You should have taken that to him.
Oh, snap. Yeah, I should have.
I didn't even remember that's on there.
Spock, sabotage the system.
Of course, I remember the people at APM, we had to they're like,
right.
you have clearance for all this, right? We're like,
yeah.
Of course we have clearance for all this. Are you kidding me? Our buddy Sarah says, happy birthday to Lucinda. Hope your day is full of cat and dog cuddles, great music, and overall strong vibes. Happy Blurs Day, Lucinda.
Jalapeno!
Yeah, of course.
Can I take one of these?
Yeah, of course. We got Shep Smith. Of course he signed off on that. Ethan says, I'd like to wish a very happy Blurs Day to my 5, Natalie. Natalie brings joy wherever she goes and can dazzle anyone with her many facts about sharks.
Do we have a shark? We have this.
That's a tuna, bro!
Perfect. She can identify that's not a shark. That was actually tape of Natalie after you called something a shark.
Yeah, and she was like, I'm sorry, but I have to clarify.
That's a tuna, bro!
She continues to be an amazing big sister, and we all love her very much. That sounds wonderful. Happy birthday, Natalie! Hope you got some good shark-related stuff. Gotta wait for this one.
Yeah.
Kristen says, happy Blurs to my sister Emily, a.k.a. Sancho. I'm so lucky.
Trying to say I was drunk. I drank 8 beers yesterday. That was all I drank.
So good. I'm so lucky that you are my one and only sister, and I love you so. You are one of the best people I have ever and will ever know. I couldn't have more admiration for you or for the way you live your life, and I'm so grateful for you. Happy Blurs Day to Emily Sancho.
Oh, that's a marsupial.
Oh, is it a little kangaroo?
Yeah, because that's
nice.
the marsupial gurgle. I have to say, I'm so proud of this sound machine.
That's wonderful.
And like the little icons that we came up with to represent, like this one.
Oh yeah, Cisco. I remember him.
That's a flower.
Remember him signing that release.
And
finally, Jake in Chicago says, happy 34th Blurs Day to my beautiful wife, Ariel. I'm so I'm pretty sure it's Ariel, not Ariel. I am so excited to go on our honeymoon with you. I want to make something clear here. That was me questioning how to say Jake's wife's name. It wasn't Jake. Jake has it locked in.
Yeah, no, they're
at this
married.
Point. Yeah, I just apologize.
It took him a few months, but at this point,
I think I've gotten that wrong before. But Jake says, I'm so excited to go on our honeymoon with you this week and celebrate one whole year of marriage. I love you. Well, happy Blurs Day, Ariel. Hope you guys...
Let the fun begin.
Exactly. Enjoy that. A honeymoon delayed is a honeymoon enjoyed.
Love this.
Love that. I'm happy for you guys. Sounds like things are going really great.
Don't miss the sausage fest.
There you go.
I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, Jake. Just say it. Just put it out there. Man, this thing, absence has really made the heart grow fonder.
Take that one.
I am.
I have a couple more buried deep in a closet somewhere that we keep for
theoretically,
emergencies.
I could even change the battery if and when that runs down.
Yeah, that's the thing. I got one here that the battery is dead on, but it's got you just get one of those little tiny glasses screwdrivers. I'll bet you have one of those.
I do because, hey, look, my watch, this watch,
that looks
it's
nice.
doing the same thing again.
It's breaking again?
See
the one they replaced.
Yeah, see this arm? I was trying to describe this to you over the internet connection, but now you can see it IRL. What the problem is, these little things,
the tine sort of,
they get loose, and then this gets wobbly, and then it doesn't quite contain or keep the watch band on.
So the band keeps slipping off.
It hasn't slipped off yet, but it's in danger of it, and I'm like constantly futzing with it.
And again, you never sent your old one back, right?
No, I still have the old one. My question to you is, do you have a little tiny screwdriver.
You need a screwdriver? Maybe. I'll have to check after that. I
Okay.
used to have one because I had some glasses that needed tightening all the time, and I used to carry it in my backpack. And so you know how I had like emergency supplies in my backpack all the time? A phone charger and all that. And I'm looking through my pens here. I don't know if you can hear that. But yeah, I might have lost that. But we can check in with Genevieve too, since you guys are shirt pals now. I don't even know if you need me for that, to be honest with you.
We have a whole system.
Yeah,
that we're
right.
working on now. So.
Oh, you know what I should do? This is going to take me like about 2 seconds to dial this up, but not too long. Yesterday, we had dazzling donor Sarah mention her newest musical project, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I was going to play a song. It's Ravenna Lux. I was sorry, I was kind of stalling there because I couldn't remember. Ravenna Lux, if people want to check out Sarah's latest endeavors, go to ravennalux.com. And there's a song here, and I never even checked with Sarah to make sure this is okay, but I think shining a light on a beautiful song made by a 10, shared with other 10s. I think we can all get on board with that.
Absolutely.
This is a song called Annihilation, which sounds... this is a song called Annihilation.
Yeah.
Sarah.
I got to talk to Sarah because
this sounds familiar.
You may not realize this, but you have accidentally recreated Tim Heidecker's
That
work.
would be amazing. This starts off very ethereal and very beautiful. I'm going to get it playing behind us here, and then we'll go out with this today. What do you think?
Change it, the way I'd rearrange it if I could.
Is this not beautiful?
Amazing.
Step into the past, stop myself from ripping out our hearts, just to see the blood. There's no going back, no way to save us. Our slow motion.
All right, what do you say, Luke?
Dig it. This is really, really good.
Isn't it amazing?
And it sounds like, if I remember the conversation from yesterday, that she would be open to some collabing.
Yeah, I think so. I'll reread this. It says, if you're in Portland and are a musician and don't mind hanging out with a middle-aged mom type,
please.
By the way, Sarah just turned 40, she said in her message. Check out ravennalux.com and send me a note if you'd like to join forces. My 40th year goal is to get back into music. And I'll tell you, it sounds like you're back into music. This is incredible.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I mean, the singing, the music, and the production.
Yeah.
This is legit.
It's incredible.
All right, Ravenna Lux. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of TBTL. But guess what? We have got another edition of This Imaginary Radio coming your way tomorrow, including clue number 5.
That's right.
In the great TBTL Billboard Hunt. The final clue.
The final clue.
Yeah, so definitely join us for that. In the meantime, have a great Thursday. Take care of yourselves, and please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
Power out.